Oh gosh, here's where everything goes up, everything feels like it's flowing, and bam, you get kicked in the ass again, right? Isn't that how it goes? So things like life's flowing. I got my paranormal group going. I was doing it with several police officer friends of mine that, we things were flowing, and I get an email. I was in the middle of the night too. I was working nights at EMS as a paramedic, and I get an email, and it's from a lady in another state. Let's just say Kentucky, and let's call her Tammy. And she emailed me and said she was in desperate need of help, that she had what felt like demonic activity in her home. And hey, also, for those that have fear of all that kind of stuff, I want y'all to hang on and kind of hear me out with this, because I go into detail. I'm going to go into detail later to explain what all that stuff really is. We need to take the fear out of life. So back then I was in total fear, not going to lie. But she told me that I want to say she had 3 or 4 kids. They were young. I think her oldest was 12. Her daughter had been diagnosed with cancer. That she said her whole family was literally getting punched and hit by an entity they couldn't see. Nobody was helping them. She was desperate, devastated. And, we started talking, and I emailed her back and I said, yeah, let's talk some more and, kind of navigate through this, and let me see how I can help. And because I was on straight nights, she was up a lot at night because she was going through what she called attacks at night. She and her family. I can't even tell you how many times. There were numerous times she would email me at 3:00 in the morning and say, I have all the kids in the car, and I can't remember her husband's name. It doesn't matter anyway, but we're on our way to a hotel because they didn't want to stay in their home. It was that bad. She'd send me pictures of the things that were going on, but they were in a pretty bad state. They ended up moving into, they contacted their pastor. I know they weren't Catholic because I knew it was a pastor, not a priest, but they ended up contacting a pastor who had an extra small home on the property of where there was like a cottage and then a bigger home of behind the church. And he lived in the home, and he said, if y'all want to stay temporarily in this cottage, you're welcome to. So she and her several kids and husband all moved into this little tiny, like 800 square foot cottage and slept on a mattress together in the living room. They had already been doing that because they were too afraid to sleep alone. But they were just, needing help. So I ended up talking to her, probably for several weeks. And I finally decided, I guess after getting to know her and having so much compassion for what she was going through, me and a friend of mine booked a flight to Kentucky to go help her and her family. Yeah. Well, all hell broke loose in my life. And the morning, oh gosh, so she'd sent me an email around 2:00 in the morning. I emailed her back around 4 because I was on a call at EMS, so I didn't get the message right away. And what my email said was, it sounds like, based on whatever she had just told me, it sounds like we may need to get a priest involved. That was it. And all hell broke loose in my life. And when I tell you all hell broke loose, that was 4 in the morning. I started feeling weird. Like, I don't know, weird presence, something. Something was off. So I had a Jeep Wrangler, really nice one. But I had a Jeep Wrangler. I was driving home that morning, so it was around 6:30, 6:45 in the morning. And I was in Baton Rouge driving down I-12. I lived in Denham at the time. I crossed over Airline Highway, and right after I crossed over Airline, I felt like, how if a kid is sitting in the back seat behind you and they kick your seat? Well, this feels like almost like borderline adult behind me kicking this shit out of the back of my seat. It jolted my seat, and it freaked me out. And then I kept feeling it like a punch, in the back of the seat. I was shaking. I was on the phone with my mom. I called my mom. I'm like, Mom, I need you to pray with me. And she did. She said the most beautiful prayer. And I said, I'm scared. I don't know what's going on, but I'm scared. I need help. I got home. Nobody's home. There was it a cookie jar or something that was on top of the refrigerator? Towards the back of the refrigerator. It gets thrown at me. So it takes force to throw it 6 feet across the kitchen. And now I'm in full-blown panic mode. What do? You can't call 911. I am 911. I am 911. You call 911, you get me. And I would be the one to say, here, let's go get you a bed in a psych facility. No, there's nowhere to turn. So I went and took a bath, and I was just crying. I'm like, God, I'm praying like I've never prayed before. And I get out, and both of the lamps from the end tables on the bed, now they're in the middle of the bed. And I was like, yeah, what do you do? That happened to me several times, the lamps in the bedroom. This progressed every single day for almost 2 years. I went through this I went through this every single day. It was really bad in the evening. I switched to permanent night shift because of it, because I figured if I'm at work and I'm up at night, that at least I can sleep during the day and not have to, be terrified like this. Yeah, I did so many things. I moved my bed up against the wall. I had garlic stuff in my bedroom. I mean, I went to Raceland, Louisiana, to meet with Father Mack, who is a priest with the Catholic Church that's been given permission to do like exorcisms and blessings and all. And when I went there, he had me lay down on this couch, and there were like 5 or 6 women over in the corner, and he said, that's my prayer group, and I felt safe. When I laid down, he laid a crucifix on my chest, and he starts doing, like saying a prayer, and then he starts grabbing his leg and going, and then he stopped what he was doing with me, and all the women, the look on their faces, I'll never forget that, like something's wrong, And he gets up and they whisper something, and he comes back and tells me he can't help me. He felt like he was being stabbed, like something stopping him. Now, let me add something before you all get freaked out and go, hell no, let me go on to something else. Now, when I look back on all of that was my training. I needed to go through that whole experience, because if somebody would come to me today, which they have actually, and said, hey, I'm having some experiences that are really scaring me. Can you help me? If I didn't walk that path and understand it the way I do, I would be like, hell no, get out of my office. But I don't have that response. That path, this entire path, has brought me to where I am. It's taught me the answers. It's given me the answers. It's reminded me of my true nature, of where we all come from, what we're all doing here. And I'll get to all of that, of why this all unfolded this way. But I don't regret any of it. I wouldn't change anything. Back then, I would have, but not today. I needed that. That helped me understand discernment. That was training, right? That was field training, if you can believe it. But anyway, so things went on for 2 years. This was 7 nights a week. I would everything from hearing my name called, to my covers being pulled, to things being thrown, to my back, something kicking me in my back. The fire department, Baton Rouge Fire Department, the station off of Coursey, that one, and there was, Engine 9, is it? It was our EM7 off of Perkins. So they carry thermal cameras that are like really expensive thermal cameras. And there was this big joke, because at the beginning of the shift, you test all of your equipment. And when they turned the thermal camera on and they would face it towards me, this happened by just a weird coincidence. I just happened to walk in the line of sight of it, and the whole thing died. And they're like, what the heck? And then I said, oh, that's probably me doing that. And so they changed out the battery, and it worked fine. They're scanning everywhere, and they scan back to me, and it dies. And then, so they called this other, so when they found out where I was working the next day, they called that station and said, y'all use your thermal camera on her. And it became like a big joke across the department. They would scan me with their thermal camera and their battery would die. And I'm like, y'all don't waste all your batteries because what if you get a fire, you know? But I was draining batteries. And the other weird thing that happened was animals, especially cats, they no longer, you know how animals make eye contact? They weren't. They were looking above my head, staring above my head. And I was having all weird symptoms in my body. Well, now I know what I was going through is what's called ascension symptoms. It was a kundalini process. My chakras were activating. What the cats were looking at was a massive crown chakra. Like it looked like I had a big glowing star above my head. Of course they're going to look at it. But back then I didn't understand all that. I just knew I was scared. See what I was talking about in the beginning? Kind of a cool, weird, raw, horrible, awesome, beautiful journey I've been on. And this isn't even half of it. But, it's the one of the cool things that happened through that process was it brought me so much closer to my mom. She was such a rock for me. She really was. She was there for me night and day, no matter what. She didn't not believe me, she believed me. Whenever I told her I was having this stuff, she didn't call me crazy. She was like, I believe you, Staceless. But she felt helpless. The other thing that she felt too, it's so bizarre how it went from me gaining my strength over time, and I'm fast forwarding now for a second, becoming more empowered, to her feeling guilt and shame. And it was like it was reversed. Our roles reversed. It was so weird. But anyway, not to go, I'll go back to that in a little bit. But this was a really rough time in my life, and I could not talk to anyone about it because, again, I'm 911. You can't call 911. You can call 911 when you work there, but you most certainly probably shouldn't do it and say, I'm experiencing this and that paranormal stuff, because first off, it's not a medical emergency. The other thing is the police can't come in and get rid of a ghost or something kicking your seat. So it was a pretty freaking lonely path. It was brilliant, though, in my opinion, because on a soul level, I'm saying that because it put me on a journey of discovery, of it's what opened up everything for me to help me understand life in a deeper, more meaningful, more powerful way. It's some people, they'll go through loss, or maybe it's kind of like when somebody loses a child and they're in so much pain. They just need something to ease the pain, and they start reading books and they start learning and they start seeking. They don't even know exactly what they're seeking, but they're seeking something to fill that. And all along the way, as they're doing this, they're becoming more awake to who they really are. They're being reminded. They're learning. They're now on the spiritual path. They no longer have to have people telling them what to do. They're now telling themselves what to do, which they don't have a manual for, right? You're just winging it. All they know is they just need some relief. Well, that was how I felt, but not with child loss. It was with spirit stuff. Spirits have always been my greatest teachers on all levels. And, So, I'm going to end that. I'm going to end this here for now. And, I'm going to end this. I'll start another one in a little bit.